to order. I'll learn to wait. Here we go. Calling this
Gotta
meeting.
cut me down.
No, it's all good. Calling this meeting to order at 7:30 on June 16, 2025. We have a special legislative agenda before us. Um, I actually would propose an amendment to the agenda. I know originally we had in the working session later on today, as part of unfinished business, was the undesignated social concerns line item. But the town staff reminded me that because this is the last legislative agenda, if we want to actually the town to implement anything that we suggest, we'll have to do it in this legislative meeting. So I'd like to propose that we add a fifth legislative item to be the FY25 budget undesignated social concerns line item 8828 added to the special legislative agenda.
Do we need a motion for that?
Would that be going under unfinished business?
Both great questions. I think we will need a motion, and I think it will go under unfinished business in the legislative agenda meeting.
So an initial motion on the agenda and then an amendment to the agenda, vote on the amendment and then a vote on the agenda.
Well, if someone wants to propose an amendment to the agenda, then we can just do that rather than rather than improving the agenda, then amending it.
So moved.
So move to, well, okay.
To add an item under unfinished business pertaining to the disbursement of funds, charitable funds, community funds in the budget.
So let me play this back to make sure that I have it correctly. I believe you said that you wanted to propose an amendment. This is a motion to add the FY25 budget undesignated social concerns line item 8828 to unfinished business.
That's exactly what I said.
Is there a second?
Well, do we need a motion on first to adopt the agenda for this legislative session? Then comes the amendment to add the item to unfinished business?
Why?
Because that's normally the order things are done.
So the agenda is what's on the agenda after call to order is approval of the agenda, and we're asking for amendments to the agenda. I don't believe we actually approve the agenda and then amend the agenda. In the past, we've just made any amendments to the agenda first.
Well,
if I understand correctly, Mr. Mayor, if we have not approved an agenda, then an item can be added to it without a vote. I may be wrong there, but I think that is the case. We don't need a vote until we have already approved an agenda and want to change it.
Got it. That
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
And I'll ask Director Barnes to help me out here. I believe both in practice and what you are able to do tonight is that you have an agenda in front of you waiting to be approved by an affirmative vote of the council. I think that you all can discuss that and then approve in one vote an agenda as amended and not the agenda as presented. Director Barnes, does that follow?
Yes, that follows our practice in previous meetings.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that. Does that align with folks? So the agenda that is as presented is missing the unfinished business. We can vote to approve the agenda that is amended with the undesignated social concerns line item added to the unfinished business for the social legislative meeting. Okay, so with that being said, do we have a motion to approve the amended agenda that includes the undesignated social line items in the unfinished business section?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Foe, second by Councilmember Smith. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Present.
Councilmember Worsnop, Councilmember Cologne,
Aye.
and I have also vote aye. The motion passes 5-1, 5-1 present. Okay. Are there any stated conflicts of interest for any of the agenda items? That is the amended agenda.
I have neither.
Okay. Hearing no comments or unmuted mics, we'll move on to public comments. Are there any public comments? Okay. Last call. Any public comments for the special legislative agenda?
Yes, sir. Mayor,
Ms.
all
Laura?
right, I'm having problems with the getting the right thing on here. The
No
right
problem.
button. I just wanted, I just noticed on the agenda, I was curious about the issue of, or the discussion that happened regarding the fireworks last time, and I was curious if that was going to be addressed in this meeting at all.
Not as part of the legislative agenda,
Okay.
but we'll talk about it as part of the work session.
All right, thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay. Moving on to legislative action items. The first item being the motion to confirm the town manager's appointment of the deputy town manager. A confirmation vote of the council is required. Is there a presentation?
Mr. Mayor, if I may very briefly.
Yes.
So this is something that I've talked with the previous administration about. Many of the same members are in the current administration a year ago. And over the course of the second half of 24 and the first half of 25, I worked with the mayor and council and the town attorney on the requisite changes to the charter and the code. And as outlined in the memo, there's going to be substantial changes in the staff leadership over the course of the next now 18 to 30 months. When we started this, we were saying in the next 2.5 years. Now we're down to the next 18 months to 30 months. We anticipate significant changes to include my own status with the town. And for the reasons stated in the memo, succession planning, preservation of institutional knowledge, and interim leadership needs are the basis for those changes to code and charter. As it relates to this agenda item, the appointment belongs to the town manager. And as I've notified the council, I am appointing Jessica Barnes as deputy town manager, subject to a confirmation vote by the council. And it requires the majority of the entire council. So that'd be a minimum of 4 affirmative votes.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate you for presenting this. We talked about this a lot in the previous administration, as you mentioned, the need, and I think you laid out the rationale behind it. And this went through a charter change, town charter amendment as well.
Yes, sir. And there was a public hearing in that process as well, sir.
Thank you. Any well, I guess we can, is there a motion to approve the request and then we can discuss if necessary?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Foe.
I would love to motion to confirm the town manager appointment of Jessica Barnes, the deputy town manager pursuant to the town charter, Article 7, Section 702C4. The appointment shall, okay, sorry. That's
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe, second by Councilmember Smith. Any discussion on this motion before we vote?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Foe.
Barnes is one of the most professionally competent people that I have ever encountered in my life. We had talked about this position, or we have talked about this for a year now, and I have wanted to see her, one of the best employees that I have ever encountered in any specter of my life, in any realm. Mr. Town Manager, I do not think you could choose better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We heard most of those sentiments. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Smith.
Mr. Mayor, I could not be more honored to support this appointment, both in terms of preparing our town, as the town manager mentioned, for succession as we transition numerous of our other talented staff members to their next stage in life. It is also incredibly beneficial for us as a town to be able to retain someone like Miss Barnes, who if we were going to each articulate all the things that we have encountered Miss Barnes doing for the town, we'd still be here at breakfast tomorrow. So it's incredibly important that we retain her. I'm incredibly happy that we are taking steps to do so here. And it can't go without saying that Miss Barnes more than deserves this. And honored to have her working for our town continually, and can't wait to see the further great things that she's going to accomplish as she helps move our town forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Klon.
I support this motion 100%. Ms. Bond is a active woman. She's very active. And for her to be a deputy town manager, I'm very happy to vote for her 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Wisnop.
I also support this. I am new to the council, but I can already tell how important Ms. Barnes is to the functioning of the town. And I just want to thank her also for stepping up in this way. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments? I'll weigh in. I'll weigh in first, and would just say that I know it's not. We talked about sort of when the rewrite of the charter, the importance of this role, this position. We talked about it a lot and discussed it at length, and the fact of the council, needing to come in and do an affirmative vote, I think speaks to the importance of this role. And so I think it's an honor for us to sort of vote in. And if there happened to be, an inaugural member of this, I think Director Barnes has demonstrated obviously a level of understanding and embodiment of what, local government is. And so I appreciate, her willingness to step into this role, knowing that it in and of itself is a lot to take on this role in addition to what she's already doing. But we are better off as a result. I will, any members of the public that want to comment? I see Miss Laura, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you so much, Mayor. Yes, I would just want to also say, first of all, I want to really thank our town manager, and give him my appreciation for bringing this to bear, to thinking through the future and that kind of thinking of our town when he's maybe even no longer, he's off doing other things in his life. And so thank you so much for moving this kind of structure forward for our town for the future. Definitely thanking the council for supporting it, supporting the change, and now considering this appointment. And then Ms. Barnes, who she and I kind of both arrived in town around the same time, and that's like 15 years ago. And when I first met her, she was awesome that first time I spoke with her, and she's only blossomed since then. She's only gotten more amazing. So I am very hopeful for this addition to our town infrastructure, and really for the opportunity for our future to maintain this level of awesomeness that we already have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lingua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I remember seeing Ms. Barnes when she worked at MML, and thinking, wow, this is a very impressive person. And lo and behold, we were lucky enough to catch lightning in a bottle, and that she came here to work for the community. And she has done numerous things and taken on numerous roles in order to bring a vitality to the town that was much welcome. And being promoted to this next position is well earned, well deserved. Yet as new responsibilities and new objectives come upon, those that were once being handled probably would be better off going to the wayside. And I know it's how much Ms. Barnes likes event planning, throwing a good party. I think my main concern is that with that, the new responsibility she'll be taking on, that to try and do that as well might be something better that would be passed on to others on staff. I know we've hired an events planning person so that Ms. Barnes can really develop and evolve into new responsibilities. And it is my hope that, and I just want to make sure that it's going to be confirmed here, that staff is planning for such a transition.
Mr. Mayor, if I may respond.
Yes, you may.
Yes, Councilmember Lingua. It's my responsibility to ensure that we have the appropriate balance of duties. And so bringing on the part-time events person, the council approval of that position, the council approval of the communications manager to begin in January. All that is part of the plan, sir. So I appreciate your support in those matters, as well as I look forward to your potential support this evening, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. There is a motion on the table on the floor. Let's move to a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Foe. It was me. We didn't catch that. Was that an aye? For the record, could you? Aye. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lingua.
Aye.
Councilmember Warstop.
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne.
Aye.
I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. Congratulations. All right. Next up on the agenda, we have a motion to authorize the town manager to sign a task order contract with ECM, one of the town's on-call contractors, for an amount not to exclude $493,783 for the FY25 road improvements projects, the streets and sidewalks improvements, CIP 11PW07, curb ramp improvements, CIP number 20 PP02, and walk bike drive safety improvements, CIP number 25 PP02. And this amount includes a 35% contingency. Any additional thoughts from staff before we vote on this?
I'll just mention, good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'll just mention why we have such a high contingency on this program. It's because we are expanding the list of projects to include raised crosswalks and intersections along Riverdale Road from Kenilworth to Lafayette, as recommended by the Walk Bike Drive Advisory Committee. And additionally, the project engineer has identified about 6 additional curb ramps that can be built this cycle. We thought we'd have specific cost estimates for those additional work items, but the project engineer is still working up the numbers. So rather than delay this agenda item, staff proposed a 35% contingency, which amounts to about $128,018. And with that, I'll take any questions you have.
Any questions? Councilman Malingua.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there a spreadsheet or a chart on proposed areas and locations where this work would be done?
On the additional projects? Or all of the projects included in this year's program?
For what this all entails.
So not in this packet, we updated the council about a month ago on the full list of projects. I could actually follow up after the meeting tonight with that list. In terms of the crosswalks on Riverdale Road, we're talking about 5 of them. It's in your staff report, starting at 54th and Riverdale Road, that intersection. Then at Tanglewood Drive, at the bike path crossing, and at Taylor, 48th and 49th. For raised crosswalks or intersections.
Yeah, if that could be sent out, that would be appreciated greatly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions for Director Lewis? Councilmember Warsanat.
Thank you for that additional information, Director Lewis. 2 quick questions. One is, what is the planned timeline for the projects? And apologies if I missed that discussion earlier in the council's meetings. But the first is on the timeline, and the second for the projects covered by the contingency. I assume they'll be sharing specific numbers for those projects at some point with town staff, or how will that work?
So in response to your first question, so the motion tonight is to authorize the town manager to sign a task order contract with ECM. Once the contract is signed, we'll provide a notice to proceed and expect the contractor to start within 10 or 15 days. And I can't say at this meeting, I'll provide that information at a subsequent meeting, maybe on the 7th of July, in terms of their timeline. We're not there yet with the contractor. In terms of your second question, I'm sorry. Could you repeat your second question?
Oh, for the projects that will be covered by the contingency amount, I assume the contractor will provide specific estimates on those projects at some later date. Yeah,
absolutely. We will ask the contractor to provide some additional cost estimates. We'll see what the engineer provides, and then, consider that against what the contractor provides. We just like to have a number to work with, and then the contractor will provide his cost proposal, and we'll make a decision regarding the additional projects. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to authorize the town manager to sign a task order contract with ECM for the amount not to exclude 493,783 for the FY25 road improvement projects and the walk, bike, drive safety improvement projects?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Smith, seconded by Councilmember Kalan. We do a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Pho.
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua.
Aye.
Councilmember Orsnott.
Aye.
Councilmember Kalan.
Aye.
I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the street closure for the 4900 block of Sheridan Street for their block party. I know we've talked about this last week as well. And is there a motion to approve the request to close the 4900 block of Sheridan Street on July 27th? And also that includes rain dates of August 2nd, 3rd, 23rd, or 24th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for their block party.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Pho, second by Councilmember Kalan. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay. Seeing no unmuted mics, we'll go to roll call vote. Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Pho.
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua.
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnott.
Aye.
Councilmember Kalan.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Motion passes 6-0. And looking forward to that for sure. All right. Next up on our agenda, we have the Resolution 25R10 establishing a meeting schedule and defining a regular meeting of the council. This was included in the packet. Obviously, we talked about this last week and the importance of not just specifying the actual meeting days, but sort of talking about what a regular meeting is. That was a practice that we did for the last administration. So carrying that forward to this one. How about if there's a motion on this in a second, then we can discuss. Is there a motion on this to approve the Resolution 25R10 establishing a meeting schedule and defining a regular meeting of the council for the 2025 to 2027 council term?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Pho, seconded by Councilmember Worsnott. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pho.
just a point of clarification. I didn't hear if you had said this. Are these meetings to occur at 7 or 7:30?
It is at 7 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, I mean, every meeting is 7 p.m. now?
Yes, that is that is part of this motion, to move the meeting times from 7:30 up to 7 p.m. and then also the approval of every legislative and work session for every month for the next 2 years.
Okay.
Just to point out, one, that the starting from the back, the swearing in of the mayor and council will be considered a legislative meeting. That will be on June 7th. And then sort of building in the legislative session and the work session for that month. And so that's a clarification that I wanted to call out, sort of in line with what we did this year, but sort of making it clear for the next election. And then also the budget hearing meetings will be on Mondays in April rather than on the Saturdays. I think this past year we did a Thursday and a Saturday and actually got a lot done in that Thursday meeting. And so the recommendation was to move to Monday meetings. So take some of our Monday meetings in April to use those as budget meetings. Council, Mr. Town Manager.
I would just like to clarify, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe the resolution specifies the meeting time. Just the meeting
Okay.
dates. If you want us to add the meeting time, Ms. Barnes can add that in. And you would just need to amend the motion.
I see. I read in the background it was mentioned 7, but the motion. Okay, so if someone would want to do who did the Councilmember Foe? It was your motion. Would you want to? Is there a friendly amendment to the motion to include the start time of 7 p.m. for the meetings?
Can I amend my motion? Is
Yes, you may.
that a yes?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to amend my motion to include a start time of sorry, I'm struggling with audio here. I would like to amend my motion to include a starting time at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Foe as amended and second by Councilmember Smith. Is there any discussion on that motion? Any more discussion or comments, or we can vote on it? Okay, seeing no raised hands or unmuted mics, we'll go to roll call vote to approve Resolution 25R10, the meeting schedule for the 2025 to 2027 term. Councilmember Smith.
I'm sorry, I may have spaced out. Did we vote to approve the amendment?
We, the Councilmember Foe, it was his amendment, agreed to amend his amendment.
I believe we still have to vote on the amendment. Is that not correct? I could be wrong.
We can consult our parliamentarian. If an amendment, I think technically he would have to withdraw his amendment first.
I believe once the item has been moved and seconded, if we change the item with an amendment, that amendment has to be voted on. I could be wrong. I'm looking at Ms. Barnes for telling everybody I'm either a genius or a moron.
Councilmember Lingua.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment to add language to the resolution stating a 7 p.m. start time.
Order. That amendment is already on the floor.
That is true. The amendment that
Remove. I can remove or withdraw. Can I?
Just hold on 1 second. 1 second. Let's just all get on the same page. So right now, what is the first point of order is there was a motion to approve the resolution as submitted, and then there was an amendment to that motion to add 7 p.m. as a start time. And the point of order is asking whether or not an amendment that has been seconded can be voted on, or does the original amendment that was seconded have to be voted on first? And so we are waiting to get clarification on that first.
Well, normally if if a motion is made and seconded on and it's open for discussion and an amendment is introduced, a motion to amend is introduced and then seconded upon, there's discussion on that,
Mm-hmm.
and then there would be a vote on that amendment. If that amendment passes, that goes back to the original motion for the approval of that vote, of that motion as just amended for the body to consider.
Okay. Well, we had a motion that was motion and seconded, and then an amendment to that motion was also seconded as well. We have discussed the amended motion, so let's vote on the amended motion that includes the start time of 7 p.m. And then we can go back and vote on the original motion as amended, just to be safe. Councilmember Smith, does that align with you?
To my knowledge of Roberts, yes. I know Ms. Barnes and perhaps Mr. Lestitian are much more knowledgeable than me, and it sounds like perhaps the council member from the third ward as well. But that jives with my understanding of the rules.
Okay, thank you. So we have a amended motion on the floor that has been motioned and seconded, and that is to approve the Resolution 25R10 that establishes the meeting schedule and defining a regular meeting for the council for the 2025 to 2027 term, with the amended text to also include a start time of 7 p.m. for those meetings.
Mr. Mayor, point of order. We need to vote on the amendment first to include the 7 p.m. start time in the main motion. And then once we have dispensed with the amendment, whether approved or voted down, then we would vote on the amended original question.
That's what was my intention. I was trying to give
I'm
context.
sorry, Mr. Mayor. I thought I heard you say that we were voting on the amended motion rather than on the amendment.
On the amendment.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you. And sorry for interrupting, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. To include the 7 p.m. Language. We'll go to since you have the floor, Councilmember Smith, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Foe?
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua?
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop?
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne?
Aye.
I also vote aye. The amendment passes 6-0. Now to the motion for the resolution of 25R10, establishing a meeting schedule and defining a regular meeting of the council for the 2025 to 2027 council term, with the included amended language that the meeting start at 7 p.m. We'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Foe? Councilmember Foe?
Aye.
There you go. Councilmember Lingua?
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop?
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The amended motion passes 6-0. All right. We will go to next item on the agenda is new business. Any new business as part of our legislative agenda? We will go then to unfinished business, which is the discussion of FY25 budget, undesignated social concerns, line item 8828. Any presentation from council, from town staff?
Nothing from the staff, sir.
Okay. So as we talked about a few times, we are this is the last legislative meeting that we have for this fiscal year. And there is there's a remaining approved budget of $18,500 in this undesignated social concerns line item. If we want to direct staff to spend the money in some way, then they'll need direction from us and a motion and a vote, I guess, on it as well. So that being said, I know there were a lot of conversations about potential items. I'll open up for the council if there's any sort of comments or discussion on this item. Okay. Councilmember Lingua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. As I stated before, I was going to reach out to some folks up in Greenbelt to see about identifying the group they worked with for their program for a Know Your Rights should federal enforcement agencies come to their door. It was a long time tracking down Ms. Pompey, and now I'm in the effort of tracking down Mr. Alex Vasquez with CASA, who ran the event for the city of Greenbelt. Yet to hear back from Mr. Vasquez. So this would probably be something that we may want to consider for the next fiscal year, because there wouldn't be a number coming tonight as well. I had talked with Maya Davis over at Riversdale. She had mentioned about getting assistance from the town regarding the project they have coming up regarding a exhibition that they will have coming up that they were hoping. They're right now in the concept design phase, and they've since been recipients of end-of-year funds to cover the cost of fabrication of the exhibition, which will see their exhibition to the finish line. They're saying that one component of their exhibit, which still remains unfunded at this moment, and is the track lighting for the East Wing space. Now, I don't know if this is something that we want to consider at this point under this aspect of our budget, or if we want to be looking at something else during the next fiscal year. It would seem to me that this would probably fall under something else with undesignated funds for our next fiscal year to consider, being that in the correspondence, I did not receive any type of dollar amount that they would be looking for.
Okay. Thank you, council member.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Smith.
I'm wondering, we seem to be running into the issue with this funding. I know we got to the end of the year last year, and we get to this place, right, where like we all agree that there are plenty of things worthy of this money in or this line item in our community, but we just haven't had for whatever reason the time to chase down who actually should benefit from it. And I'm wondering if, rather than like trying to identify specific organizations during a certain kind of work or something like that, we could think about this, and this is not something to solve with it tonight, but more as we as a council like identify a need in the community, whether it's support for our immigrant residents, or programs that have lost federal funding, or federal employees, that sort of thing, that we want to contribute to, and we put out an RFP requesting the grant. Mindful that that would be a thing that would require staff time. I'm wondering if that maybe is a good alternative. I'm just trying to think that like we keep it up in this place where we all know like this money could be put to good use in the community for an undesignated social concern, but we don't have the specific organization doing the specific work identified by the end of the fiscal year. So we'll just put that to the council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Fa.
question for the town manager. Could we reallocate these funds to continue or restart the Farmer Market Dollars program potentially? Or add to it?
The council could direct that the funds move from the operating budget to the economic development fund. And that's where we have paid for the Farmers Market Dollar Program. And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
so the short answer is yes. I don't have authority to move from operating to a different fund. So that would still require council authorization.
Thank you, Councilmember, and thank you, Town Manager, for that clarification. Councilmember Smith, to your point, I think you're spot on in the sense that this seems to be sort of a kind of a structural issue. I believe the idea behind this was to give the council some level of flexibility, I mean, for lack of a better term, if something came up, that there are funds available to sort of respond. And that, outside of like a request here and there, that hasn't necessarily been the case. And so I think it's a worthwhile conversation that can extend beyond this meeting and this fiscal year sort of cliff that we're at right now. If we want to rethink what this line item should be, then that's definitely a conversation that we can have. I think, we can have in a future meeting, and probably worth brainstorming to think about what that looks like if we want to change sort of the premise or structure behind this. If it's so if we want to move to something that's more proactive or seeking things or sort of requests, as opposed to in more of a sort of responsive posture that this is in right now. Any other thoughts? Like I mentioned before, we have to sort of give direction to the town staff and vote on it if we want to make a motion, if we want to use these funds now. I believe if no action is done, then the 18.5 that's remaining will just go to the general fund.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Smith.
I'd like to move that $18,500 be moved from the 2020 FY 2025 undesignated social concerns line item into the Economic Development Fund. Does that suffice, Mr. Town Manager?
That keeps the funds in play. And so the funds survive past the end of the fiscal year. And then staff can work to put together how they would be expended in the Farmers Market Dollar program. We may need another procedural vote from you, but that would suffice in keeping the funds alive, if you will, crossing
That was
into
my intent. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Town Manager.
Negative.
Motion by Councilmember Smith, seconded by Councilmember Foe, to move the FY25 budget $18,500 from undesignated social concern line item, undesignated social concerns, to the Economic Development Fund. Any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Smith.
I think moving the funding to the economic development budget is prudent here. We know that this funding can be effectively used in our community, but we don't have the specifics right now. Moving it to that fund doesn't mandate that we have to spend it. So it is not a fiscally irresponsible move to expend the funds just to expend them. We keep them alive and move into next year, and hopefully can identify organizations that are doing the kind of work that we've talked about for this funding in the new fiscal year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lingua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So my understanding is we're looking at putting this into the Economic Development Fund for a use to determine later, be that a reinitiation of the farmers market dollar program, which I'm just kind of curious how long, based on our past experience, how long would that funding last for that program? If Mr. Chelton has those numbers, I'd appreciate hearing them.
If so, as a point of reference, the last month was May, and we had lowered the amount that we were providing the households in order to lengthen the time of the program. But at that month, I believe we had spent about $15,000 to cover that month. So this would cover at least 1 month at that same rate that we were stretching it out at before.
So we would have a farmers market dollar program for roughly a month, and then we would no longer have funds for that.
That's correct, sir.
If the decision is that we go and spend it on the farmers market, I think the motion is just to transfer the funds to the Economic Development Fund, and then how those funds are used from the Economic Development Fund could be discussed at a later time.
Okay, well, I mean, just the only thing that I heard, one idea was the farmers market program.
Correct. You are correct.
So,
Councilmember Worsnop.
Along those lines, is it easy to summarize like what the restrictions are on the use of money in that fund? Obviously, one use is the farmers market program, but what does it just have to be something that, could reasonably fit under that heading of economic development, or what are the constraints?
In the budget book, there's a description of both the Economic Development Fund and then a sub fund within there, which was the Economic Recovery Fund. And that's where we had ARPA. I'm looking to see if I have that at my fingertips or not. My guess is that if the council moves forward as the discussion seems to be going at this point, there may be a move then to amend the fiscal 26 budget, and then you can put it wherever you want it. So I wouldn't be concerned about its restricted use. If you move it into the Economic Development Fund, it's there. And then in 26, if you want to amend 26 and put it back in social concerns, but we're not prepared tonight with paperwork and the required ordinance, and we don't even have the time to get this done at this point.
Okay, no, that helps. Thank you for that.
Good question. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, there's a motion on the floor. We'll go to a roll call vote. And this motion again is to move the FY25 budget undesignated social concern, $8 of 18,500 to the Economic Development Fund. Councilmember Smith, your vote. Councilmember Foe.
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua.
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop.
Aye.
Councilmember Colon.
Aye.
I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. Thank you all. And I think it's a good conversation. I think that we can think of in a future meeting about not just where does what to do with the 18.5 and sort of how to spend it, but then also I think to Councilmember Smith's point of, is it worth sort of reimagining this line item and what to do what to do with it moving forward. Thank you for the discussion. Okay, going back to the agenda, that was the last item of unfinished business. Next, we have adjournment for the special legislative meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe, seconded by Councilmember Smith. We don't discuss motions to adjourn, so we'll go to roll call vote. Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Sfo,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua, Councilmember Lingua. You're
Sorry about that. Bulky screen, aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Kalon.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion to adjourn passes 6-0. The legislative meeting is adjourned at 8:26, and we'll immediately call to order the work session at 8:26. The call to order. In front of us, we have an agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Councilmember Foe is dropping off. We still have quorum. Thank you for letting us know, Councilmember Foe. One item I think is we can sort of remove the undesignated social concerns item from unfinished business since we discussed that. So we can, what do we agree on? That would be, that's not the presented agenda, but the amended agenda. Any other amendments to the agenda? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended that removes the FY25 budget undesignated social concern line item 8828 from unfinished business?
Mr.
Do we
Mayor.
need a motion? This is a work session.
Oh yeah, we don't. That's right. Mr. Town Manager, is that what you can tell me to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You got me all worked up on the Robert's rules. I'm just trying to practice what I'm learning in real time. No, it's all good. It's all good. Okay. Well, we'll do that. We won't do the unfinished business. I'm just kind of move forward. We do have a presentation, I believe, in recognition of Juneteenth. Okay. Proclamation in recognition of Juneteenth. Whereas January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, providing that all persons held as slaves shall be then and thenceforth and forever free. And whereas on June 19th, 1865, almost 2.5 years later, Major General George Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the end of both the Civil War and slavery. And whereas Juneteenth, also called Emancipation Day or Juneteenth Independence Day, commemorates the end of slavery in the United States and is observed annually on June 19th. And whereas the mayor and council are proud to join with town residents, business owners, visitors, and employees, along with individuals and communities throughout the country in commemorating Juneteenth. And whereas the town of Riverdale Park firmly believes that now more than ever, Black history must be taught, discussed, and celebrated throughout the year. And whereas the town of Riverdale Park is committed to racial justice and equity, diversity and inclusion, and to supporting policies, programs, and initiatives that aim to eradicate systematic racism and undo historical damage. And whereas the town's cultural diversity enriches our community and Black heritage is an inseparable part of that enrichment as it weaves throughout our history, profoundly influencing every aspect of life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Riverdale Park's mayor and council call on all town residents, businesses, employees, and indeed all people throughout the United States to recognize, commemorate, and celebrate Juneteenth with the appropriate ceremonies, activities, reflections, actions, and programs. In witness of thereof, I hereunto set my hand in cause of the seal of town of Riverdale Park, Maryland, to be affixed this 16th day of June 2025. Mayor Ifeanyi Yang. Awesome. Thank you so much for that presentation, and happy Juneteenth, early Juneteenth for all. All right. Next, we have public comments. Are there any public comments? We have a couple folks from the public joined us. Appreciate that. Sarah, your hand is up. You're acknowledged.
Thank you for giving me. My name is Sarah Longwell. I'm from Ward 3. This is my first one of these meetings, so I just wanted to confirm, is now an appropriate time to comment or ask questions about one of the work session discussion items?
Yes.
Okay. I noticed item number 3 about the agreement with Placer AI. I'm not sure where we are in the process with that, but I had a couple of concerns about a foot traffic tracking and an analytics platform in our town. I'm curious about why we think we need it. I'm interested to hear more about that. I do know that it's runs on sort of an opt-out sort of consent system, and I'm curious. I'm concerned about a tracking system that requires a certain amount of digital literacy for residents to opt out and visitors to opt out of being tracked by such a software, especially given the way we know that data can be sold to data brokers and triangulated for, and while Placer's AI platform says they're collecting anonymous data, it can be triangulated with other things as it gets matched up with other types of data that get collected. And then I saw this agenda item yesterday, and with a very cursory internet search, I already was able to see some concerns from other users about the accuracy of their experience with the data that's been collected, not matching up with their in-person counts of attendance at municipal events and things like that. And so if it is something that we would move forward with, I would hope that we would first have an opportunity to talk with maybe other municipalities who have chosen to move forward with Placer AI and learn about their experiences and whether or not they would or would not, did it in fact benefit them, or did it turn out that the data that they've collected was not as useful as they had hoped. So thank you for recognizing me and providing the time. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to your first meeting. I appreciate you joining and speaking up and sharing your thoughts and concerns. If you stick around, we'll definitely discuss it when we get to that point in the work session. Any other public comments, Ms. Katz?
Sorry, maybe this isn't necessary. I just wanted to reiterate, really, I just have a question regarding the fireworks that are scheduled for Wednesday, if that's going to happen or not.
Director Barnes or?
If I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
so there will be no firework display this Wednesday.
With that in mind, I just have one other comment. I know there was a bit of discussion in a previous meeting about this, and I definitely appreciate the council address and the staff. Sometimes we don't always agree on things, and I know it can be challenging, but I appreciate the conversation that was held. And this is probably after the fact and too late, but I was thinking, wow, it'd be really cool if we had something like a drone light show here in town. And I AI'd that really quickly, and it looks like a 10-minute fireworks show and a small 100 drone light show are similar in cost. But I know that the situation here is a little more complicated than that with regards to the fireworks thing. But anyway, just wanted to put that out there, because I think obviously the intent is always in the right place, but obviously sometimes it's a little more complicated than that.
Thank you, Ms. Katz. Any other public comments? Okay. We'll move on to work session discussion 1, fence permit request for 4912 Woodbury Queensbury Road for a 6-foot wooden fence.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the public. I'll be handling this legislative item. Staff are seeking direction from the Mayor and Council regarding a fence permit request for 4912 Queensbury Road. The town received a building permit application from Mr. Russell for the installation of a 6-foot wooden fence in the backyard of 4912 Queensbury Road. The applicant has already obtained a Prince George's County permit for the project. The property owner received support from the Mayor and Council for a variance request related to this project, and many months have passed between the approval of the variance and the issuance of the fence permit from the Prince George's County, and Mr. Russell has started the project in anticipation of receiving a town building permit. Before I turn it over to the applicant, I would like to note that town staff did have some concerns with the 6-foot fence, and specifically regarding its proximity to East-West Highway at the intersection with Taylor Road. I know that when I personally try to turn right on red at that intersection as I'm grading on from Taylor to East-West Highway and heading eastbound, it's sometimes difficult to see westbound the traffic that's coming from further west on East-West Highway. And I actually spoke with the police department earlier today, the deputy chief, about this a little bit, and he also had some police department specific concerns that I thought were pretty notable. German, are you available to share any more comments?
I am. Good evening, Mayor and Council here. If I could look at some of the notes I took in reference to this. Our concerns from the police department in reference to this fence is that, one, it's going to reduce visibility. A tall fence can obstruct the line of sight for drivers approaching the intersection, which makes it difficult for them to see the oncoming traffic or pedestrians. This is particularly crucial since East-West Highway is a major thoroughfare for vehicles and pedestrians, more particularly the parents that walk their kids to school. It creates a blind corner creation. It can lead to situations where a driver, cyclist, or pedestrian may not see each other until it's too late to react, potentially leading to a collision. It also creates safety hazards. Restricted visibility increases the risk of accidents at the intersection. The intersections are already considered hotspots for accidents, and many local authorities have regulations and zoning laws that specify fence height restrictions, especially in corner lots. They aim to ensure safety and maintain clear sight of lines for drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians. Some regulations mention sight triangles or vision triangles, which are areas at intersections where obstructions are restricted to a specific height, which usually are around 3 feet, to ensure clear lines of sight. One of the recommendations is for a fence design is like a picket fence, which can improve visibility and allow for light penetration. And one of the scenarios that I gave, give me a second here. Yeah, one of the scenarios that we spoke about earlier was if an emergency vehicle is attempting to clear the intersection with little to no visibility for the responding officer, as well for the other drivers, that's going to complicate things, especially for an officer that wants to clear the intersection with little to no visibility again, or in a situation where you have an emergency vehicle come into that intersection and there's other vehicles in front of them, and these vehicles are going to be expected to move out of the way, potentially driving onto oncoming traffic from East-West Highway. So that could be a big hazard.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Garcia. Councilmember Smith, you have a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I note in the materials the recommendation that the risk here could be mitigated with a no right turn on red sign. I know I had inquired about a similar sign in Ward 1 previously at an intersection with East-West Highway, and was told that that would have to be coordinated with MVA since it's an MVA road and they are generally not in a hurry to respond or coordinate on things like that. And I wonder if that is the case here too as well.
Yes, we can't guarantee that SHA will move quickly on
SHA, sorry.
absolutely on the installation of a no right on red sign. But after speaking with the police department about this a little, that would mitigate some of the concerns. But as the deputy chief just mentioned, if there's a police vehicle that needs to head north on Taylor and go on to East-West Highway, it's going to be difficult for oncoming vehicles heading east towards the intersection to see the police vehicle if there is a 6-foot wooden fence sign there, wooden fence there. So it would mitigate some of the concerns, but not all. And as you said, it might take a little while to get the sign actually installed.
Sure. And then I'm sorry if I missed this part, but if this sort of mitigating triangle idea, has this been posed with the applicant?
I believe it was part of the original Prince George's County permit process. So I have shared on the screen here the site plan that includes a triangle. And I believe typically, according to both the town's code and the Prince George's County's code, the requirement is that no fence over 3 feet within 25 feet of the intersection. I confirmed earlier today with the reviewer of these plans, a Tracy, that she said that this was because of the variant status of this project. One of the items that received the variance was the triangle. So now it's 20 feet on one of these triangle legs and 29 feet on another. I couldn't get a clear answer on which one was which, but one of the triangle legs here is 20 feet and the other one is approximately 30 feet.
Does staff have an opinion on whether or not those dimensions are sufficient to address the concern?
I don't know offhand. After learning some more of the police department's concerns, I think that this would take a little bit more investigation to see what type of adjustment would be needed to help mitigate those concerns.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Sheldon.
Any other comments? Mr. Shelton, you mentioned the applicant is, you mentioned the applicant is actually present.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, we'll recognize Councilmember Lingua, and then if they want to say something, we can recognize them as well. Councilmember Lingua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Based on what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing here in the plans, and having a number of years experience trying to navigate that intersection as it is and how difficult it is right now, I could not in any way support a 6-foot fence over in this area for the reasons stated, and also for what Jermaine Garcia brought up, as well as the police department's concerns here.
Thank you. I have a question in terms of like what's being shown right now. So the green line would be, it's just sort of the suggested, put the fence further set back than the property line. And then this would still be sort of 6 feet across, 6 feet all around, or is there an opportunity to either change the fence design around that corner, whether it's making it picketed or lowering the height to increase visibility?
My understanding is that the entire length of the new proposed fence would be 6 feet tall.
Okay. Okay. And you mentioned the applicant is on the call?
I believe so.
Will the applicant want to say something?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Victor Julio Rocha. Yep. So yeah, a while ago, they kindly vote to recommend my approval of the variance. So it took a while between it went through all the PG County departments. So at that point, since I had the support from River Town, I lost track of this part of the permit that was missing. But so that's what I'm like. I applied for the permit for Town of Riverdale. So now I was expecting to continue with the fence, and the reason is because there's no privacy. It's like there's a lot of speeding. They trash things on my backyard, and I understand some of the concern about the height, but I can tell you that that's why with the town and the county, we are leaving even more than 25 feet. So I mean, even though there's no fence, if somebody doesn't want to make a stop or they don't respect the stop sign, it's going to happen whatever is going to happen. I mean, the fence or no fence, driver have to be cautious when they're always approaching a corner. The city is here, but the visibility is priority on the fence. So that's why I'm like backing up. I'm building the fence inside my property and leaving more space. Also, there's a tree there that's even like a bigger obstacle for like cars or well, basically cars. But I mean, I live here in I use that intersection a lot, and let's see. Yeah, so when you stop here and you stop on the right, not on the left, so you can see the cars. You have a light over there, so there's no way that you are gonna cross without like waiting for the light to change, and you can see the cars coming with or without the fence. There's enough space to like visualize whatever is going around. Even in big cities, like you have like buildings. I mean, I understand, but at the same time, I know it's not gonna like impact in that way. It's not gonna make it safer and safer. It's defense basically is for like stopping so much noise, like a noise. There's a lot of noise pollution and light pollution because like they stop cars at nighttime over there in that corner. Police are always working, and all those lights they hit directly on my windows. The people trash a lot different things in that area. They use my property sometimes to cut from one street to another one. They steal things. I can't leave nothing there that is valuable because they would take it, like my bicycles. I cannot leave the dog outside. It's like many reasons, and that's why we are trying to like enjoy the house and have a nice place to live. And the design of the fence also, we are like trying to do the best possible, like the best materials, and to make it look nice, to improve the neighborhood. And that's what we're doing basically, like every once in a while we're pulling permits and improving more and more the house. That's one section that we need to improve. And like I say, we are like 29 feet away from the intersection of both Queensberry and Taylor. So there's plenty of space when you park there to see on both sides. And there's a light over there. There's a stop sign, and I mean, if people want to go they don't want to respect the stop sign or whatever, a fence or not, it won't stop them to do whatever they want. That's so.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, and sharing your perspective. And so is this an instance or an example? I guess it's probably to town staff, on the county permits have been approved, but the town permits have not been. It hasn't gone before the council before until just now.
That's correct.
Okay.
May I add, Mr. Mayor, this is actually a little bit more complex than that because Mr. Vito went to get a variance for this specific project. So this came before the council as a variance initially, and this is a unique lot because it's actually 2 lots back to back. So at that time, the council was focused on placement of the fence related to the variance. And so as I worked with the applicant at that time, they had expressed their concerns about the fence. They received support from their neighbors, and all of those things kind of happened separately. Then once he received the variance, which we all know takes quite a while going through the county process, he was issued a county permit. And so Mr. Vito just recently in the fall received that permit after several months going through the variance process. And so I'm guessing when the weather broke, he started working on the project, and that's when this came back to us, and that it had not received the final review of the mayor and council for the 6-foot fence component. So the council did support the variance related to the placement of the fence. And I think there was one other item, I think it had to do with the driveway in the back, and that was related to the 2 separate lots. So just trying to separate that out, that we have already gone through a variance process. The town has weighed in on that component that was related to the project, but not the specifics of the project. Now he's back before us on the 6-foot portion of the fence.
And for clarification, when you say the variance, that is sort of the how far back it's set from the curb, right?
Well, yes and no. So this property, because it is 2 lots, this fence is actually in what would be considered the front yard of this lot, because there's lot 6 and lot 12. And so even though the front of the house is actually on Queensberry Road, it's on a different lot. So for lot 6, the front yard is considered what faces East West Highway. So the variance was to allow a 6-foot fence in the front yard. And so that's where I think things got a little bit confusing as Mr. Cassell worked through the process and trying to get these things done. So now we're back. He's already started the project, but we're now talking about the component related to the 6-foot, and it's a stockade style fence, a shadow box style fence. Unless that's changed since last year. Mr. Vito, please correct me if I'm wrong. And so that makes it a little bit difficult to see through. And so that's where the council is now. This just in the discussion phase, no action necessarily tonight. We have some time that we could work with the applicant and talk a little bit more about the concerns to see if they could be mitigated in any way.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did I hear Mr. Vito correctly that he had adjusted the plans to have the those legs of the triangle back within the recommended 25 feet? Did I hear that correctly, or?
Hi, Mr. Richard. Can you hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. So if you can see the red line, like curve, that's my actual fence, and the green one is still the red one is like 25, but I'm going like a little bit like inside my property. The green one is the new one. So it's even like I'm leaving even more space, for the well, that's just grass, but
Thank you, Mr. Vito. And Mr. Shelton, did I hear you correctly that that 25 feet, that's sort of the best practice recommendation there?
That's both the town code and the county code are both requiring.
So I'm sorry, I live in like 29 and I live in more like 30.
Oh, so where that's beyond. Okay, so we're doing more. So
Yeah, I live in more and because I mean this took a lot of time, like almost at least more than 18 months. And like Ms. Barnes was saying, I went for through the Board of Appeal. The mayor and the council kindly vote to recommend the approval of my fence, my variance with a 6-foot new fence, and it took so long that I received the permit. I think it was November, late November, early December last year. And then at that point I felt like everything was done, and that was my bad.
Understood. I think we all recognize you're trying to do the proper thing here, Mr. Vito, and we appreciate that. So with these new dimensions, do I understand that PD does the concern remain here, or does the shift in the dimensions here address the concern?
No, that's correct. It's still a concern. The concern here is going to be the type of fencing that the property owner wants and the height. As he mentioned, he has a very large tree in the back property, and that in itself already hinders visibility for us. Now you're adding another obstruction to that intersection, and vehicles traveling 35, 40 miles per hour are nearly going to have but a few feet to react to someone else. Like if you look at the black pickup truck, anybody that's sitting on Taylor Road, that's all they're going to see is going to be that pickup truck and the one next to it and nothing behind it. So if you put a 6-foot fence right next to that tree, you're going to have no visibility. And our main concern is that that's a major thoroughfare for us, especially for prisoner transports, hospital transports, and for officers to be able to clear the intersection, especially with emergency equipment, it's going to be impossible.
So is there a distance that it could be set back that would address those concerns?
I would probably say maybe set back slight bit and the height.
Well, it sounds like the project is designed for the 6 foot. I'm asking if there is, how far back would it have to be set to still be 6 feet and address your concerns? Like, I'm guessing we're at almost 30 feet now. If it's set back 60 feet, I'm guessing that's okay. I'm guessing Mr. Vito doesn't want to go 60 feet back.
Yeah,
So what's the point in between those two that would alleviate the concern for PD?
It would be if you could see where that tree is, if it could align with the tree, that would pretty much give us what visibility we have now and not take away.
Mr. Vito, is that workable for you?
So in fact, like those metal posts are my actual fence. And if you see the red cone, the last one, like by the hydrant, that's the new one. So I'm going like almost to the tree. And it's not because they asked me for it. It's just because I was thinking about it. And also, by the way, because I messed this part and I thought that everything was in order already. I started passing inspections with PG County, and I had already 3 inspectors, and the 3 of them from PG County were like, in fact, they were like, wow, this is amazing, this is gonna be great. The way you're building, like waterproofing the foundation, this is gonna also be it's gonna protect your family, because also like they broke my fence already twice, and drunk drivers, they went inside my property. So this, like, fence is gonna also, it has many reasons. But going back to the point, the new fence is already like, I'm going inside the property, and those metal ones posts, they're gonna be removed as soon as I can continue, and the new fence is gonna leave even more space. And that pickup truck, if you can see it, I mean, you will see like even more with the new fence. But also, even though you don't need to see like 3 cars, I mean, it's like when you're on a corner, whatever, in Washington, here, Virginia, like wherever we are, like if you see a car, there must be more. Like, so.
Oh yeah, no, I think we all understand, Mr. Vito, and we're trying to figure out a way to get to yes here, but and while addressing the valid public safety concern. So do I understand correctly, with your current plan for the fence, with that large tree there, looks like an oak, would that be outside of the fence or inside of the fence?
The oak, that one, that tree is so big right now that this is gonna be like in the middle. You mean the big one, right? The old tree that one is like a huge tree. It doesn't like it's gonna be in the middle of the fence, but because that one is like in fact like not in the corner. It's like there's a little tree in front of it, like a bush, and then
Sure. So,
yeah.
Mr. Officer Garcia, or Deputy Chief Garcia, does if the fence, if the angle there is in line with the tree, does that address the PD concern?
If it's in line with the tree, it'll probably be better, yes. But if it extends past the tree, then it'll be a
Mr. Mayor, see the town manager has a hand up. I want to make sure to give time for that. I think I'm inclined to support it. It sounds like if it's in line with the fence, the PD says that addresses that concern. I think Mr. Vito is clearly, this is an unfortunate situation. He's clearly done, everything he can to be in compliance here and try to do the right thing. We know we have with Town Hall and other projects have experienced the delays of thinking you have a project approved and going back and having to deal with permits and everything. So I really hope, in coordination with staff, that we can find a way to get to yes here and a solution that allows Mr. Vito to continue and addresses the public safety concern. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Town Manager.
Yes, sir. In the interest of looking for a way forward, I would suggest that we bring in one of our traffic engineers. This is all about the concerns I'm hearing from my team are about traffic safety. And at no cost to the applicant, we can consult with one of our engineers. They can look at line of sight, and we can come back with a recommendation to the council on July 7th. That's the earliest that you would be able to act on this permit application, regardless if we do this. But I think to give the town and the town council specifically some more information and more definitive information, it would be prudent for us just to consult with our engineers. They can look at the line of sight, the radius of the turn, and provide that information to you all for July 7th.
Thank you, Town Manager. I appreciate the conversation. I know the concerns. Daylighting intersections are, proven. Safety, but I think with the adjustments from what's currently there, I think if we can get some clarification from the traffic consultant or expert would be helpful for sure. And Mr. Vito, either way, the idea was that we were probably going to have to come back to this in July in our next meeting, and so let's be armed with more definitive information. But I just want to say I appreciate you sort of proactively trying to mitigate some of the concerns with the step back of sort of putting the fence closer within your property line, and hopefully we can find a solution that works for everyone. Thank you for that. Let's move on to work item number 2, which
Thank you. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Take care. Which is another fence request. This one's for 6230 Rhode Island Avenue. It's a 6-foot ornamental iron fence for the Calvert Memorial Park and Cemetery.
Yes, good evening again, Mayor Inyang and members of the council. This is a fence permit for Calvert Memorial Park and Cemetery. We've been working with the applicant, Patrick Gossett of the Riversdale Historical Society. This is a 6-foot iron fence located along the perimeter of the cemetery, so along East-West Highway and the properties that are adjacent to the cemetery. Director Shelton, if you could scroll down to the map, I think that the site map, that'll give a little more information. So we picked a beautiful day to take the photos of the park area. The applicant has gone through a process to get a historic area work permit. So this is, again, similar to Mr. Vito's project in that it's multi-layered. So they worked through that process and received approval and a actual permit from the county. So they have met those requirements. The fence, as described, has a portion that is in front of East-West Highway, and then a portion that goes along the property line that is just borders the adjacent property owners. And then Mr. Gossett is here tonight, and he can provide any additional commentary or feedback about the fence if he's available.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Just one point of clarification there. If you notice on the plot plan, as it were, the blue line is the 6-foot fence, and then it turns green along the property line on the western area, and then the yellow along 410 there is a 4-foot fence. And it's an ornamental iron fence modeled very much after the fence that's around the Riversdales itself. It does not have the brick columns or the stuccoed columns on it. It's strictly just all fencing. And the primary reason behind this, at the addition of the fence, is for the safety. We find more and more people that we've enhanced the park and added some benches there, especially on Thursdays during the farmers market. We have more families with children going up in that area to enjoy the food that they purchase at the farmers market and just enjoy the park-like setting. And it's been a challenge watching the parents kind of control the kids with no fence along 410. There's some security issues there. So we had put together a fundraising project over a year ago to raise the funds to do this, and we finally have reached that point that we've made our goal and started the process for permitting.
Thank you. Any comments, questions about this? Councilmember Worsnop.
Thank you for this. I'm just curious, does staff have any concerns about this fence? I didn't see any mentioned in the packet, so.
I'm seeing shaking heads of no concerns from staff.
Okay.
Councilmember Lingua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I've had a similar concern over the years when I saw how much more activated the park is now, especially with all the work that's been done up there, and the use by young families and all has a nice place to go up to when visiting the farmers market. So I'm very appreciative of RHS putting forward this effort to have this fence constructed, and I support it wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? I'll just add that, yeah, I was surprised when I think I first went there during maybe last year, and was surprised at how it just opens right up onto East-West Highway. But it is it's a little unknown area until you know it, and then I think people have definitely used it more and more. And so thank you for the clarification that the fence is similar to that on Riversdale, just without the just the metal fence. So it's still sightline visibility, but sort of encloses the area and seems appropriate with the rest of the area. So if there are no concerns on this, then we can probably move this to the for the July 6th, 7th meeting. Would this need to go to the this would need like an affirmative vote, or is it a consent agenda item?
Mayor, this item could be added to the consent agenda if there were no objections from the council.
Okay, hearing no objections, let's add it to the consent agenda. Thank you, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you for your time and your help in this matter. We really appreciate it. And I think it's going to be a great enhancement to Riverdale Park.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the agreement with Placer AI, location intelligence analytics platform. Do you have a staff proposal or presentation on this?
We do, Mr. Chelton.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Mayor and Council, members of the public. So yes, staff have been speaking with Placer AI as well as neighboring municipalities, College Park and Hyattsville, who are already customers of Placer AI about their offerings, and the town anticipates being able to use Placer AI information to help evaluate effectiveness of town programs, supporting business recruitment, retention, strategic outreach goals, analyzing pedestrian activity and commercial area trends, and generating heat maps and custom reports to better understand consumer patterns along key corridors such as Town Center and the Route 1 corridor. There were a couple of unique things that I found while the product was being demonstrated to me and while I was speaking with College Park and Hyattsville about the product. So I was already anticipating, having worked at another commercial real estate software firm in my past, some basic things like trying to figure out a gap analysis, what type of businesses would fit best based on what's in the area and things of that nature. One of the unique things that Placer was able to do because of their location tracking was to figure out which types of businesses had a symbiotic relationship, for lack of a better term, to figure out if many of residents, or many, I should say customers, because they don't have to necessarily be residents, but many customers are attending one business and then either later that day or directly after going to another. And potentially my curiosity was piqued when I was thinking about our business roundtable events that are going to take place soon, and potentially having partnerships between businesses that may not even know that they share a lot of customers. And so I believe that this information would be very helpful in evaluating town events such as the holiday market and things like that. And to the resident's point earlier, the count may not be exact because as the resident mentioned, it's something that you can opt out of on anybody's phone. But I think it's more about a statistical analysis. So we can see that on a typical Saturday night in December, it would be a certain percentage of, or a certain number of people attending the event or being in that area. And then at the night of the event, we'd be able to see an increase of 50%, 100%, 200%, whatever it is, and then being able to compare that to help us evaluate the effectiveness of the event. Also, this type of information would be helpful in documenting, roughly speaking, how many people are in a specific area for grant programs. So if we are applying for a grant and want to delineate this is how many people are visiting this area, we would be able to do that a little bit more accurately with something like this, rather than just estimating. And to the resident's point earlier about opting out, so this Placer AI uses data from partners, so they don't actually have an app that that residents or customers or anything like that would have from Placer AI on their phone. This would be from other existing technologies that people typically have on their phone, such as Google Maps, or and they didn't provide a list for me, but I can assume based on my previous usage, things like Apple Maps or anything else that allows you to, or when it prompts you on your phone, do you want to share your location? All of those things basically are potential partners for Placer AI and how they can learn a little bit more about where that phone goes. And Placer assured me that this is not sharing any personal information. They don't even track individual phones. But to the resident's point, I could see how if one was really interested, they would be able to try to potentially learn more about an individual based on some particular habits. But I think overall Placer AI would be a very helpful tool to the town and help us in economic development considerably. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Shelton, for the presentation and background information. We have Councilmember Smith and Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly appreciate the effort on this from staff and from you, Mr. Shelton. I am incredibly skeptical of this. It seems more than a bit dystopian to me. I think setting aside any privacy concerns that may exist, or that do exist, I might see some value in this for a town much larger than ours, but I think in a couple afternoons we could, if this council were to fan out and talk to business owners, we could hit every one of them and they could tell us much of what this service claims that it would provide. That being said, I do have intense privacy concerns about this. I hear the data is anonymized. There's lots of folks that claim to have or claim to collect anonymized data that we later find out isn't entirely so and is leaked and available on black markets and things like that. I'm also, especially in this moment, incredibly concerned about how this data could be used by malicious actors. The scenario that comes to mind is even with anonymized data, this app says that it can track how people move from one area of a community to another. We know that ICE can't enter people's homes with administrative warrants, but can detain people when they are met in public. So this is the kind of data that it would seem that ICE could use to say, we know that this area from census data has a high Latino population. We know that people frequently move from this neighborhood into the Riverdale Park Farmers Market every week. Riverdale Park Farmers Market might be a good place for ICE to set up on a farmers market night to try to encounter undocumented folks. I just have way too many concerns about this to even consider supporting the town procuring such a service. I would need a lot more information. Otherwise I can't see myself supporting something like this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Worsnop.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I second much of what was just said, but before I kind of mention three additional things, I do want to thank Mr. Shelton for thinking of ways that we could better support our local businesses and make sure that we are using town resources and planning events in ways that serve our community. And I think that there are, more things that we could do along those lines. I want to, raise three quick things that haven't been said but are in the same vein. So one is that, just a few years ago, this company and some others were called out by a number of senators for potentially, tracking information about people accessing reproductive health services. And so that's just another example of a type of information that I would worry about being misused, especially in this environment when regulation over these kinds of companies is decreasing over time. And I would worry about the town entering into a business relationship that could potentially be misused in the future. The second thing is that I think there are some remaining questions about the data quality of these programs, especially related to foot traffic. And if that is data that the town is interested in, and I can see many reasons why the town might want it. As Mr. Shelton mentioned, it should be something that maybe we're thinking about how to get in other more reliable ways. But I have read that foot traffic data can be variable in terms of its reliability from some of these programs. And in particular, they're not very transparent about how they are collecting the data and how reliable it is. And I'll stop there. but will just emphasize that I think, there are things the town could do. For example, systematically do crowd estimates of events. There are ways to do that, or potentially looking at, for businesses that are interested and don't already have something like this, there's hardware that can be installed to track people, the number of people entering your business for something, for example. So I really appreciate the effort put into thinking about these kinds of things. I hope we can talk about it further. I am not inclined to support this specific program, but thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions, thoughts, comments on this from any council members? I have a question. I'll weigh in. Is the idea that this would be town-wide, or it would have to be sort of specified for particular areas within the town?
So the information that Placer has, I suppose, is already town-wide. This would just be for our access to it, just to make sure that's clear. So if College Park or Hyattsville would like to see what's happening in town center, they would still be able to access that information. But this would be for the town to access that information town-wide.
So that point, you're saying that the information is already being collected, but this is to pay in order for the town to sort of see it, but that other paying members to Pacer are able to see the data as well?
Yes, correct. Yes. So I don't know the exact radius, but I believe that if we were to enter the agreement, we would also be able to see nearby jurisdictions as well, in order to compare and do things as well. So they can do the same thing for us, so they can see how their traffic along Baltimore Avenue compares to, or I guess, in different municipalities. So Hyattsville will be able to compare it themselves to Riverdale Park and a College Park along Route 1. We could see how trends are there. So yes, all the information, I suppose the Placer is already, through whatever means they're already acquiring the data from these third-party geolocation services.
Yeah,
This would be for our access to it.
no, that's a helpful clarification, because it's not necessarily that we would be paying money to then subject or opt-in residents. This is almost like there's a database that already exists, sort of this information is already widely available, and this is the town sort of opting in. I believe that are you aware of any like businesses within town that are already maybe opt into something similar to this?
I'm not aware of anything, but I can certainly do some more research to find alternatives or to see if any business is already participating in anything similar, but nothing's been brought to our attention yet.
Yeah, okay. I believe there's some sort of surge understanding, when a lot like bigger weekends and when like additional foot traffic happens. So we can probably, I think it'd be good to see what else is out there, what other businesses are doing. If it's different subscriptions, or as Councilmember Worsnop mentioned, is it a sort of, for lack of a better term, sort of more hardware driven, door chimes, counting the door chimes every time someone opens it, versus like just sort of this, crowdsourcing available, public map data. Yeah, I think it would be I think it's a conversation I think there's some concerns or questions around. Getting a sense of what Hyattsville and College Park are using, I think would be helpful. Getting a sense of where are the true sort of like limits to this in terms of potential uses or misuses or concerns that we should have, I think would be good to sort of alleviate some of the concerns that have been raised as well. And then obviously if there are other alternatives, or if there are particular examples that the town sort of identifies of, this would be either useful or sort of would have helped if we already opted in place and got to get a better understanding to kind of get a sense of, is this more the art of the possible of what could be done, or is it trying to solve a problem that currently right now we're unable to do, and that this software would sort of help? So hopefully that helps in terms of feedback. Miss Katz, I see your hand is raised as well.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm sitting here thinking about some other aspects of it with regards to the cost. I was curious if, and this is maybe more in the weeds kind of stuff, but you know, is there a for the cost, how many reports could we get? Is you know, what's the cost based on? What's the duration of time that the reports are based on? And can you get different durations of time? And then would we be wanting to use this every year? Is this another cost for every year once we start using it, or just 1 or 2 years as is written up here? And then finally, goodness, if this data already exists, is it relevant to our redesign projects in town center that we could actually, the data is out there already to get much more comprehensive data than the 24-hour bucket of data that we got that the redesigns were referencing?
Thank you, Ms. Katz. Councilmember Worsthop.
Thanks. Sorry, just one quick follow-up. When we discuss this again, I would be really interested in seeing some kind of comparison to like a kind of a consulting based option. Like Ms. Katz just raised, you know, a one-off data point that was gathered for town center. What would it look like if, you know, there were certain areas that we wanted more data on, and instead of using something like this, you know, the town paid a consulting firm to like track a certain area for a given amount of time to get better data. So some comparison to other options, given specific problems that the town wants to solve, as Marian Yang said, would be really helpful. And one other clarification on my prior comments. Of course, I acknowledge and agree that the data are already out there, and we as a town aren't going to stop that data from being collected. But I do think it is a little bit different for the town to pay money for the use of that data, because it puts the town into a certain situation where the data could then be used later based, and would have been supporting that effort with town funds. So future conversations certainly would be interested in seeing some comparison to other options. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Appreciate the comments and feedback, and looking forward to discussing this item in a future session. All right, next on the agenda, we have minutes. There are minutes from the May 19th special legislative and work session, as well as the May 5th legislative meeting as well. So hopefully folks have got a chance to go in there and, you know, as Mayor Thompson would say, review what, you know, what was said, or you will forever be remembered in history for what was mentioned. And so if you have any feedback or comments, please feel free to speak up now before we vote on it as part of the consent agenda next meeting. Okay. Any questions, comments on the minutes? Next on the agenda, we have new business. Any items of new business? No items. Any items of unfinished business? Okay. Next we have the mayor's report. I will be brief. One, just wanted to thank town staff, anyone who was remotely involved in the you know, trolley trail day. I think it was hot for sure, but I think it was another successful event. And I had more people than I can imagine asking me what the color of the shirts were. do I have some inside line? People were advocating for green. Hot pink was not on the bingo card for me, but I think it ended up working out well, and so it was a fantastic sort of event. I sort of attended the two within our town, and did some biking, and so full Charlie Trail Day experience. And it's easy to forget that it seems like a pretty well lived out tradition, but it's relatively new. We did it 1 year before COVID, and then paused for several years during COVID, and here we are back now. And I always see it as, I know there's a lot that goes into it, but probably one of our best examples of uh, creating a time-honored tradition that has become a staple, and brings the population and residents together, and becomes something that I thought for this year it seemed like everybody was trying to get in on Trolley Trail Day. And I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years if this extends Mount Rainier, maybe even further down. DC might be trying to get in on it at some point. Because they're like, well, the trail came all the way down to us. Why not be included, and keep going even further north? So, um, you know, I know we've talked, at least in the last 2 years since I've been on council, the idea of events within town, and trying to be intentional about not just doing a good event once, but thinking about how we can make it a staple, and what does that look like, and obviously the effort that goes into it. But this is a clear example of what happens when it's done well. Um, I know there were also a lot of stuff happening on that Saturday. There were a lot of protests that were happening all around our area, and I thought it was really special that you know, in the midst of an event like this, they were still able to protest. People were still able to do it respectfully. There were no incidents. I want to, thank, the town police, who I know were monitoring and making sure that, nothing happened. And, there were, thankfully no incidents at all. That, in today's day and age is not a given. They were, in other parts of the country, there were instances that stuff happened. And so I'm always thankful for, their support. And anytime a large gatherings of folks come together, making sure that, the intended purpose can happen and nothing else happens as a result. And then just with that, lastly, I know the a few weeks ago, the Kenilworth Purple Line stop reimagining sort of pacemaker space. There was Senator Washington was able to secure $1 million grant for that. Those conversations are ongoing, and I appreciate the town manager being able to um, find staff to participate in some of those conversations. I think it's really important for me, and I think that we are, um, included in those conversations, and that the scope of the conversations continues to be, obviously the talking about the space itself, but making sure that we include access to those stations, and so um, we'll definitely keep that, keep posted on what happens there moving forward. But I think it's super important that we don't have our two Purple Line stations become stops that are poorly used because they're hard to access, and as a result, we know what happens when the systematic cycle of lack of use means lack of investment, which further creates more lack of use. And, we don't want stations to close or anything like that because no one ever uses them. That would be the excuse, and that would be a tragedy. So, super important. And we'll definitely keep that top of mind and make sure that um, all the interests of our town and the surrounding area are represented there. And with that, will conclude my report. And next, we'll have the town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. A few things. I'd like to echo what the mayor had said about Trolley Trail Day. Quite an event. And from those staff involved in the planning through the execution, I think they did a fantastic job. I know when I was walking through the town center, I saw one thing that really stuck out to me, and that was residents gathering with our police officers to get their photos taken. In a day and age when the police may not feel support in various parts of the country, to see our residents with their children gather and ask police officers, "Hey, can we get our picture taken with you?" That's just really telling about the tone and temperament in our approach to law enforcement. And so I just wanted to call that out. Juneteenth celebration observance on Thursday. Town hall operations and DPW operations will be closed. And this weekend, there's a scheduled walk and talk. It was scheduled some time ago. We had initially planned for it to be focused on Ward 5. With that vacancy, we're rethinking that. And so we'll have something out, I would say no later than Wednesday morning. We're going to try to have something out tomorrow on where to meet and the area that we'll be walking. But that's scheduled to take place this Saturday at 9:30. And we hope to see as many residents and members of the council as possible there. And then the last thing I have is the other night we had a discussion about the fireworks that was scheduled for this Wednesday. And I had shared with the council that we've canceled that fireworks display. Ms. Barnes and I have met, or I should say Deputy Town Manager Barnes and I met with the owner of the fireworks company. And we took a real hard look at the agreement that the town has. We're not able to get out of the agreement. So our exposure, if the council says don't have a fireworks display, we would still owe the amount of the contract, which is $16,000 approximately. What we heard last week was if there could be an alternative location, perhaps an alternative location could be explored. So we worked hard with Park and Planning and revisited, and Jessica, help me out here, it's Riverdale Community Park, which is the park between 51st and Hague Drive. And so we identified a location within that park. It's a section of parking lot at the southeast corner of the park. It is further away from homes. And so, I mean, people are still going to hear the fireworks, but it's about as far away as you can get from any home. And we will have some safety and security measures to work out, because a smaller location is easier for the police to staff and control ingress and egress. But those challenges are not insurmountable. We just have to work through them. So the staff plan to have what I would describe as a community picnic. And Ms. Barnes, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. So at a date to be determined, have a community picnic like 6 p.m. Perhaps we have the fire department staff the grills like they used to years ago. And we can provide things for the grills and have Mr. Magic provide some ice cream to the children. And that would culminate in a 10-minute fireworks display. It was staff's understanding when we moved forward with the concept of fireworks that was a long-held expectation of the council. And if we're wrong on that, then we apologize for that, but that was our understanding. And so we're trying to make the best of the situation and address the concerns that were raised. The issue that, or the alternative that our resident, Ms. Katz, brought up earlier this evening, I Googled perhaps a different site, but got the same results, Ms. Katz. And I think in the future, once we get past this celebration, if the council's still good with this, that you can get 100 drones for about the same cost. And I sent in an inquiry to see how much 300 or 500 drones would cost. And so you're able to have some sort of a display that brings people together without the boom or the residual odor from the pyrotechnics. So that's where we are. So we will be looking for a reaction from the council, because we do have to give clarity to the vendor as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Just, I see a raised hand. I know with the airport so close, with drones, we should, clarify what the height restrictions are. If it's one thing, there's something else. But it's good to know that, there are alternative options that are, worth exploring. So appreciate you looking into that. Councilmember Smith, do you have a question for the town manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I do recall in our last meeting that one member of the body expressed a desire to have the fireworks canceled if they couldn't be moved. I know my thought that I expressed to the body, and I thought this was expressed by others as well, was that if it could be moved without too much trouble, we should explore that. But if the options were to keep it in the same place or not have it, we would prefer for it to go forward. I'm just curious, happy to hear that my memory isn't what it used to be, and I don't remember that conversation as well as I think I do, but I thought that's where we landed on that. So just seeking some clarification.
And that's our understanding as well, sir. And there was just no way to get that type of clarity and permissions, and that worked out in a matter of a week. So there are options available. We just could not do that within a week's time. So we can schedule for any other day if the council wants to move forward at Riverside Neighborhood Park. We certainly can do that. We just can't do it on Wednesday. It just took us longer to figure out what the contract said and to work through things with MNCPPC. So I think we're still trying to follow the direction of the majority of the council. So there is an option to move it, or it could stay at the same location. The expense to the town for the delay was $600. So I did expend $600 to give us this time to explore this and then to receive direction from the council.
I appreciate that, Mr. Town Manager, and thank you for all your efforts on that. I just my understanding of where we left the conversation, I don't want to, drag this out too much, was that the majority of the council felt that not having fireworks for that date was the least preferable of all options, and I'm not sure how we got to where we're not having fireworks, that being the case. Again, happy to hear that I perceived that conversation wrong, or am remembering it incorrectly, but that's where I thought we left it. So we are where we are. We'll look forward to whatever event ends up happening that includes some sort of visual skyward display, as it were. Thank you, Mr. Town Manager, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. No, I think you remember the conversation correctly. I would say that this is a compromise, and in the interest of trying to find out what our options were. The delay happened. The good thing is that it seems like there may be an option to sort of have the fireworks location in the place where we originally wanted to put it, in the other park. That needs a better name. But as a person that was very much in favor of the fireworks in general, it's good to hear that the fireworks aren't canceled completely, but there's an option to sort of like continue it at a later date. And potentially we can sort of envision maybe a bigger event or something, sort of wrap that in, and we'll keep the Centennial +5 celebration just extended for another couple weeks. So thank you. Any other questions for the town manager? We'll go to ward reports. We'll start with Ward 1. Councilmember Lingua, yours, I'm assuming that's not a first dibs on your ward report. You have a question or comment for the town manager?
Yes, question for the town manager. I was wondering if we could get an update on the schedule for the completion of the work at Town Hall.
Yeah, so the building or the permit for the fire alarm was issued within the last few days. And so now that the permit's been issued, the work can be scheduled and completed. And once that occurs, then we would have the inspections and the punch out work completed, and then work towards the permanent use and occupancy permit. Director Lewis, do you have a time schedule when they may begin the work on the fire alarm?
I think they're gearing up to start this week.
And that's going to take a number of weeks to perform.
And of course, the audiovisual equipment project has to be completed as well.
Yes. So do you think, Director Lewis, that both of those things would be completed for the council's return at the end of their recess?
I think so. I think so.
Does that answer your
Okay,
question?
so you're projecting then by the end of August, all the work will be completed and a use and occupancy will be issued by the county.
Well, I would say this, sir. I think all the work would be completed. That what the county's processes are, I don't pretend to understand how long it may take the county to complete the paperwork for use and occupancy on this simple project.
But once, Mr. Manager, I was going to be optimistic and hope by the end of August, they in fact have completed the final inspection. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Fingers and toes.
So, Director Lewis, you're saying that you feel that the final inspection will be completed by the end of August?
I certainly think so. The AV contractor thought their work could be completed in 30 days, and I think they're in sort of week 2. And I would expect the fire alarm upgrades to be completed in a month as well, or at least by the end of July. I would hope the county can conduct the final inspection within 30 days or 24.
Okay,
Should
so
we have the building ready by the August 25th meeting.
so that we would be having a work session in those chambers.
Yes, it should be possible. We'll keep you posted along the way, but it should be possible.
Should be possible. Okay.
Again,
Thank
this is new for me.
Pardon?
This is new for me. I haven't been willing to project a completion date only because things have been so up and down, but these are the final items. And
Okay.
we're talking about some very simple fire alarm upgrades, despite the time it took to get to this point.
Okay. Well, if you would like to afford us an update at the July 7th meeting, I'm sure it would be welcomed.
2 weeks from now, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
should see measurable progress in 2 weeks on both projects, actually.
Well, any progress, whatever at all, it would be interesting to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Would just ask that staff notify council if that timeline becomes delayed in any way, such that so that we may raise that through other electeds channels as appropriate.
That's fine. Certainly by July 7th, we should have a good sense or be able to confirm, I guess, the expectation that we should be done and have our use and occupancy permit by the August meeting.
Outstanding. Appreciate staff's work on this now and through the whole arduous process. And just let us know if the council needs to take it above the staff level to make sure that we meet our timeline here.
Thank you.
Sir, you have the floor. Board reports, Councilmember Smith.
So I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll keep it brief. Great to see everyone out at Trolley Trail Day. Good to see, Deputy Town Manager Barnes, and Deputy Chief Garcia, the town manager and his family, we were able to meet them there. Good to see everybody. Always a great event. It gets better every year. To echo the mayor's point, as we start approaching, I know I get questions. What color is the t-shirt this year? What colors are there going to be enough? People legit freak out if they feel like they're not going to be able to get down there in time to get the t-shirt because they don't want to miss a year. So I think those are all indicators of a really successful event that the community looks forward to this year. We continued our dominance of the Trolley Trail Route 1 corridor community of having the best event by acclamation. Similarly, extremely proud of the No Kings event that took place in our town, which I had intended to do both events, but got caught up at Trolley Trail Day, and I think got down to Riverdale Neighborhood Park just as the other event was breaking. But I did see pictures of the park full, which to me is just really impressive and a really great sign of shared values in our town that we were able to have an event like that was so well attended, despite another outstanding competing event in town, despite being a smaller municipality surrounded by larger municipalities, many of them who are having their own No Kings and associated protest events. It was just all very encouraging, given other things happening in the country right now. I want to point out that in between the two events, I did run into local rank and file resident Alan Thompson, Mayor Emeritus, who seemed to be very much enjoying his life as a public citizen and not having to be in this meeting tonight. So kudos to the mayor for still remaining engaged and being out in the community, and great to see him. We all watch the news. I think the continued concerns around immigration enforcement and ICE, essentially, I don't want to get myself in trouble with language I would like to use there. It's messed up that people are just wearing vests and not marked as law enforcement and not providing their names or badge numbers or even indicating that they're an official law enforcement body in any way, and snatching people off the street and shoving them in vans to go God knows where. That's really scary. We know that we have lots of folks in our community who are at risk for things like that. So just remind everyone to stay vigilant, keep each other informed, and remember that you're not obligated to accept or provide documents or let anyone into your house who does not have a signed judicial warrant. Administrative warrants are not the same thing. And then lastly, just want to express solidarity and sympathies with folks in Minnesota who experienced a politically motivated assassination and others targeted this weekend at Democratic legislatures in their state. We're in a really scary place. Other folks from other states were targeted as well, it's looking like. And I hope that folks generally aligned with the aims of the person who executed this understands that they're putting real folks' lives in danger, or ending lives in this case. Yeah. Don't have much to add there. Just want to make sure that I acknowledge that. That's all I have for tonight, Mr. Mayor, other than just another, full-hearted appreciation for staff and the way that they executed the event over the weekend and all the events that they continue to execute in an incredibly professional and flawless manner. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Foes has left, so Councilmember Lingua, Ward report for Ward 3.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep this brief, and I'm just glad to see at this year's trolley trail that Pepto-Bismol no longer has the color of shocking pink all bottled up to itself. I received from a Ms. Maya McKenzie copies of correspondence that she had with Maryland National Capital Park Planning, the Parks Department, having filled out a permit for use of the large field, the same said large field that still is posted as closed for renovations. But Park and Planning did grant her a permit to use it for an event that she was having. She's with Flagstar Football. They're out there regularly on Saturdays. And part of that request was request to have bathrooms open. This was the bathroom request was not met. She'd done this several times. Each time not getting the bathroom open, and at which point she just gave up asking. This is an event that she has out there that runs pretty much 7 hours with a lot of young kids. And the fact that someone here is being permitted to use a field and asking for this request is not being met is very, very unfortunate. I'm being polite about that. I'm going to forward this on to staff, and staff has been involved with Park Planning in discussions about trying to get the park fully operational. As well, I would ask that staff, they could in their conversations, please talk with Park and Planning about litter maintenance. I've had several folks comment to me about condition of the park and the trash that is left behind. Granted, yes, I know that it's responsibility of those who are using the park. Some of those who approached me suggested bigger signage, encouraging folks to keep the area clean. I would tend to agree with them. And speaking of signage, front of the park, with only staying upright by leaning on another posted sign on a pole and a rock underneath one of the stanchions. And with that, I'll conclude our report.
Thank you, Councilmember Lingua. Councilmember Orsnott, Ward 4.
Thank you, Mayor Yang. I would like to second what everyone has said, thanking the staff for their work on Trolley Trail Day. It was a great event, as was the No Kings Day protest. It was just really nice to be out in community with everyone in various ways on Saturday. So thank you to all involved. Wanted to share one piece of information that may be of general interest. Which is that in addition to many things happening nationally, there may be some changes forthcoming to vaccine recommendations and availability. And I found something out that I did not know and that others may be interested to know, which is that in Maryland at the state level, There is legislation that recently went into effect on June 1st that basically guarantees that Medicaid, private insurance, and other providers will still have to cover the cost of all recommended vaccines that were on the vaccine recommendation list as of December 31st, 2024. So I just wanted to share that information if people have questions about that. I also wanted to raise kind of two things that I heard from people in Ward 4 over the past week that I will follow up on with staff. One was a question about whether the town was considering putting in stop signs on the bike path itself for people using the bike path before it intersects with roads like they have on other parts of the bike path. Maybe the town is already considering that, but that was something that came up. And then another item was concern about excessive noise from the USPS facility overnight, in particular power washing vehicles in the middle of the night that was disturbing several residents. So I may follow up on that with staff, as I'm not sure what the relationship has been between the town and USPS in the past. So I will leave it there and thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Colon, Ward 6.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Well, I'm unfortunate on 14th. I was in a wedding ceremony in Virginia. I didn't attend the trailer event. But what happened to me in that morning, Saturday morning, I went to buy breakfast at McDonald's. On my way to come back to take Kenmont Avenue to continue to proceed to Virginia, this guy came from nowhere, hit my front bumper, rip it, and he didn't brake. Go. I never have his tag, but I'm going to run my camera tomorrow. Maybe I will get his tag number. I called the police. The police officer came from River Park Police Station. Yeah, but he asked me to provide the tag number. I said, okay, I will do that. So I don't have much to say. The wedding was successful. Yeah, we were there for until wee hours. So this is what I have to say. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Bye.
Thank you, Council Member. And sorry to hear about your getting a car accident. That's unfortunate. Well, that is the end of our agenda. And I know we don't vote out, but I do appreciate people sticking with us. It's 10 o'clock, 10:03. We'll adjourn the meeting now and looking forward to, I guess, July 7th is our next legislative meeting. Then the August 25th after a recess. We'll see if we need to have a special election in a special session in between time. Maybe, maybe not, but I'm looking forward to having that work session on August 25th in our new council chambers. Here's hoping. Thank you all for the time and enjoy the rest of your night.